Mobius, come on. What could possibly go wrong? We got to properly test this theory.
Well, here's a fun theory. You lure me out into the field and then you stab me in the back. And that's a theory I don't want to test.
I'd never stab anyone in the back. That's such a boring form of betrayal.
Loki, I've studied almost every moment of your entire life. You've literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times.
I'd never do it again.
So why do we find Loki, this villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so entertaining? My theory is because at this point in the narrative, he keeps us guessing.
That was the plan.
In this way, watching Loki is like a puzzle, a riddle, a little game for the mind. Can I figure out whose side he will land on next? Is he going to help us? Is he going to betray us?
So, last time I saw you, you were trying to kill everybody. Where are you at these days?
It varies from moment to moment.
He has our minds constantly working on this question, and an important one that is so vital to us as humans. That is, can I really trust you? I think part of us really wants to trust him.
I wish I could trust you.
We want to believe that these little hints we're given along the way, that he's a good person deep down, might finally manifest. Maybe this time I can trust him. But my theory is it's the not knowing if we can trust Loki that makes Loki so fun to watch.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you. I've been playing a game of my own all along.
Now, like many things in the world of entertainment, what we find so compelling to watch for fun on our screens turns out to not be so fun in real life.
Are you ever not going to fall for that?
As fun as it is with Loki, we don't want to guess if we can trust this person in our life or that person. We want to know. We want to be able to be safe. Can I really trust this person? If I'm vulnerable with them, will I be okay? In healthy relationships, we can trust that our parent or our romantic partner will show us love, that a business partner will hold up their end of the deal, and that someone in a position of power will wield it in a way that doesn't ultimately harm us. And trust always involves a degree of vulnerability. Thus, the ability to determine who we can trust and who we cannot trust, and to appropriately update these perceptions over time is vital.
You're telling us that you can get us access into the garage without setting off any alarms.
Yes, brother, I can.
Okay, can I just do a quick FYI? I was just talking to him just a couple of minutes ago, and he was totally ready to kill any of us.
He did try to kill me.
Yes, me too, on many occasions. There was one time when we were children, he transformed himself into a snake, and he knows that I love snakes. So I went to pick up the snake to admire it, and he transformed back into himself, and he was like, yeah, it's me! And he stabbed me. We were 8 at the time.
So how do I know if I can trust someone? How do we navigate the fact that every relationship that I start is a potential betrayal? And that question brings us to our therapy thought of the day.
One day, my daughter, Ellen, came home from school. She was in 3rd grade. And the minute we closed the front door, she literally just started sobbing and slid down the door until she was just kind of a heap of crying on the floor. And of course, it scared me. And I said, oh my, what's wrong, Ellen? What happened? What happened? And she pulled herself together enough to say, something really hard happened to me today at school, and I shared it with a couple of my friends during recess. And by the time we got back into the classroom, everyone in my class knew what had happened. And they were laughing and pointing at me and calling me names. And it was so bad, and the kids were being so disruptive, that her teacher even had to take marbles out of this marble jar. And the marble jar in the classroom is a jar where if the kids are making great choices together, the teacher adds marbles. If they're making not great choices, the teacher takes out marbles. And if the jar gets filled up, there's a celebration for the class. And so she said, it was one of the worst moments of my life. They were laughing and pointing, and Miss Balkin, my teacher, kept saying, I'm gonna take marbles out, and she didn't know what was happening. And she looked at me, and she, just with this face that is just seared into my mind, and said, I will never trust anyone again. And my first reaction, to be really honest with you, was damn straight. You don't tell anybody anything but your mama. Yeah, right? That's it. I mean, that was my like, you just tell me. And when you grow up and you go off to school, mama will go too. I'll get a little apartment. And the other thing I was thinking, to be quite honest with you, is I will find out who those kids were. And while I'm not going to beat up a 9-year-old, I know their mamas. That's the place you go to. And I'm like, how am I going to explain trust to this 3rd grader in front of me? So I took a deep breath and I said, Ellen, trust is like a marble jar. She said, what do you mean? And I said, you share those hard stories and those hard things that are happening to you with friends who over time you filled up their marble jar. They've done thing after thing after thing where you're like, I know I can share this with this person. Does that make sense? And that's what Ellen said. Yes, that makes sense.
Does Loki pass the marble jar test? Not for me. What about that person that you're wondering about right now in your life? Do they? Do they pass the marble jar test? And maybe flipping it around, do you? And if they don't pass the marble jar test, well, then we'd be wise to take some extra precaution. I'm not saying we shouldn't ever trust. We need to trust. It's essential to healthy relationships. But we would do well to trust based on good evidence.
Though I feel it won't make much of a difference.
Loki.
I know I betrayed you many times before, but this time it's truly nothing personal. The reward for your capture will set me up nicely.
Never one for sentiment, were you?
Easier to let it burn.
I agree. Oh, that looks painful. Oh, dear brother, becoming predictable. I trust you. You betray me round and round in circles we go. See, Loki, life is about growth. It's about change. But you seem to just want to stay the same. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you'll always be the god of mischief. But you could be more. There's somebody here for you. Anyway, all got places to be, so good luck, guys.
Surprise! Ow.
Sad to be sure.